Hey everyone, this is Elenbaas from Nightlight Astrology. Happy Monday, everybody. Today we're going to take a look at all of the major astrological transits for the week ahead. There are a few of them. The early part of the week is especially packed. So we'll be looking at a number of squares to Uranus, a full moon in Leo that's also square to Uranus. Mercury's entering Pisces. So a good number of things to look at today. And if you are one of the fixed signs of the zodiac, if you listen to the Aquarius, the Leo, the Scorpio, or the Taurus horoscopes every month for your sun or rising sign, I'm going to say a few things about how these transits of the week will be impacting the fixed signs today. A lot of action there. And then we'll kind of outline what we're going to be doing for the week. And then today, Mercury is square to Uranus. So at the end, I'll circle back around after I go through everything in order. I will come back and focus on Mercury square to Uranus today, give you some thoughts about what to watch for with that one, which is actually perfecting today here on Monday. So that is our agenda for today. Before we get into it, remember to like and subscribe. It really helps our channel to grow. We appreciate it. We're almost at 75,000 subscribers. We're trying to get to 80 by the spring equinox, little goal we set for ourselves. If you like the channel, please feel free to, it's free to subscribe. So we really appreciate it. It helps us grow the business and the work, the community. You can find transcripts of any of these daily talks on the website, which is nightlightastrology.com. You can learn more about our classes, our readings. We have an affordable reading service you can check out. If you go to the book a reading page, Need-Based Astrology Readings offers 3 different tiers of readings at different prices with staff and promising alumni from our programs. It's a great way to get a reading that matches your budget. We try to make sure all that we do includes accessibility. Go to the live talks page under events. You'll see this month, February 20th, I have a special webinar coming up that I'm doing called Venus Through the Fire, Unlocking the Mystery and Magic of Venus Retrogrades. That is happening February 20th from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern. You get the link to attend live when you register, but if you cannot attend, of course, we'll give you the recording afterwards. You can listen to it on your own time. So that's the stuff that's coming up at Nightlight. Hope to see you there for some of that. And with that, let's turn our attention to the real-time clock where we can outline this week's transits. So at the start of the week, unless there's something super big happening exactly on Monday, I like to give a little preview of what's happening in the week ahead. We're looking at the 10th through the 16th. It takes us this Monday all the way through Sunday. We start the week off with Mercury squaring Uranus. That is perfecting today, February 10th. I will come back to this at the end and focus on it again. So we'll kind of start with this and then, or we'll go through the list of everything on the week, and then I'll come back around to talk about this one at the end. So Mercury squaring Uranus today. Tomorrow, February 11th, we will have the sun then moving into a square with Uranus. And that we will be looking at tomorrow in greater depth and detail. And then on the 12th, Wednesday, we will have the full moon. That is a full moon in Leo that is also activating the square to Uranus. So a full moon in Leo with a square to Uranus, that's a big deal. And then on the 14th, we have on Friday, Mercury entering the sign of Pisces, where it is in its fall and detriment. Although it is separating from the sun, recovering from combustion, about to appear as the evening star, it's going to go through that really murky, watery space of Pisces where there will be an eventual conjunction to Saturn and Neptune. And then by the time it gets to Aries in March, it will be doing a retrograde in the sign of Aries. So we have some interesting retrogrades coming up in the month of March for both Venus and Mercury. Mercury's got to wade through the sort of otherworldly waters of Pisces, where it is not always the clearest to follow, but it can be a very interesting Mercury placement too. So that's it in terms of the order of the week. Let's go back to the Sun square Uranus tomorrow. Like I said, I'll be saying more about that tomorrow, but the Sun square to Uranus, along with Mercury square to Uranus and the full moon square to Uranus, are taking place right away, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But what can we say about these things collectively? We can say that it's a Uranian week. A Uranian week means that it is a week filled with, on the positive side, breakthroughs. A breakthrough can be where energy or momentum is stuck or stagnant, and suddenly a block or a restriction is removed and it feels like progress is being made again. There can be insights and epiphanies, inventiveness, and creative originality that breaks us out of a funk or that appears like a lightning strike. The kind of creative genius of Uranus is one that often allows us to think our way out of difficult problems with sudden, exciting solutions or inventive ideas. Uranus is also a planet that can kind of press the rebelliousness button inside of us where we feel like resisting or defying certain conventions or authorities, or even defying something in ourself that's afraid or scared or stuck. And we say, no more of you. I'm done. I'm creating a change in the story. So wherever the paradigm is being broken or opened or changed, this is the god associated with revolution. It's also a god that is sometimes associated with sudden, unexpected disruptions. And so there's a disruptiveness to Uranus that is in the air this week. We could find that some things that have been going along smoothly are being disrupted. The rhythm is being interrupted because something like a new time signature is appearing, or a new theme, or a new era, or a new moment. Something is shifting, and it might be doing so a little abruptly. That could mean that it's a week that we need to demonstrate a little bit more patience with as we work through. So all three major events this week involve squares to Uranus. Mercury squaring Uranus today, Sun squaring Uranus tomorrow, full moon in Leo squaring Uranus Wednesday. So we're going to be breaking those things down each day of the week. And then when we get later in the week, I'm going to be hopefully doing a moon in profile episode this week, getting caught back up with some things that I got super busy toward the end of last year. So moon in profile, we're going to be catching back up with the moon in Virgo, I believe, which is happening later this week. So my hope is to time this out while the moon's in Virgo Thursday or Friday, maybe even Saturday, but as a bonus episode, we'll see. So anyway, Mercury enters Pisces on the 14th. The basic reason that Mercury is considered debilitated in the sign is not because nothing good happens here for Mercury. It's because of the archetypal tension that's present between Mercury and Venus. Venus is exalted here. Mercury's in its fall here. Venus is in its fall in Virgo, where Mercury is exalted. The sensual and the rational, the otherworldly, the mystical, the imaginative, the earthly, and practical. There is a kind of dichotomy between Virgo and Libra that Mercury and Venus participate in the expression of, and that is why they are sometimes in a challenging place when in each other's signs. So Mercury in the sign of Pisces, good when it comes to romantic, imaginative, otherworldly, emotional, sensitive, intuitive, subtle kinds of qualities mentally. Maybe not so good when it comes to grounded, rational decision-making or objective, careful, discriminatory thinking. Mercury in Pisces can get a little bit lost, sometimes becomes incoherent or illusory. Mercury in Pisces loses the plot. All right. So those are the things you kind of have to be careful for with Mercury in Pisces. But I certainly don't mean to make it sound like that there's nothing, there's nothing good that can come out of the placement, right? Let me put this back up on the screen. I had to close another window that was beeping. All right. So when Mercury is in the sign of Pisces, where it will be now for several weeks, the ability to, what do I want to say? The quality of emotional intelligence can become an important topic. Now, on the one hand, emotional intelligence might mean allowing things like empathy, compassion, sensitivity, instinct, sensing and feeling people's body language. It's kind of an instinctual, emotional quality of intelligence that might be might be amplified or strengthened or increased. The importance of which is that if we need to demonstrate more emotional intelligence, or if we need to grow in some ways emotionally, in the way we think, process, speak, communicate, it's a great place to do that. On the other hand, Mercury in Pisces, in its fall, sometimes lets the sensual and otherworldly, Venusian qualities flood the rational qualities, and that's where all of the problematic signatures come from with this placement. So something to keep in mind as the week goes on is the shift of Mercury late in the week. You might notice that in terms of things becoming a little bit more misty. Not necessarily a bad thing, but something to be careful of. Now, let's go back to the beginning of the week, and all three of these squares to Uranus are taking place across the fixed signs. So especially with the full moon in Leo, let's focus on that just briefly for the fixed signs. So this week, fixed signs getting a lot of action. You could look at the houses of Aquarius and Taurus and Leo. Any of those houses will be active. But with the full moon, let's focus on the house of Leo for fixed signs. For Taurus, the full moon lands in the fourth house: home, family, parents, family karma, living environment. There's something important that's shifting there. And you could see kind of a peak level of focus or attention, or the karma sort of blossoming around the topics of home, family, parents, ancestry, and living environment. Now, if you are a Leo rising, the full moon's landing in your first house. And so for fixed signs with the Leo rising, you're going to find this in, or excuse me, for the Leo rising fixed sign horoscope, you're going to find this in the first house: body, health, identity, psychology, character. The process of individuating is a process related to the first house. So what kind of karma is blossoming this week? What kind of breakthroughs are taking place with respect to things like your identity or your body, your health, your sense of selfhood? Very important focus for the full moon in Leo this week for Leo risings. We go on to Scorpios, another fixed sign, with the full moon landing in your 10th house. Now, again, you could look at the houses of Aquarius and Taurus for more, because certainly a couple squares happening across those angular houses. But the full moon landing in your 10th house of career, the public space, what kind of karma is ripening or blossoming in the career house? And like with that comes questions about the fulfillment of old cycles of karma, or things reaching a culmination point, and maybe a point of a space of putting more attention on who or what the authority figures are in the workplace, in particular for the sign of Leo, a sun-ruled sign, right? You think about things like authority and leadership in the workplace, who or what is leading, how they're leading, maybe questions like that in particular with Leo full moon in the 10th for Scorpios. And then finally for Aquarians, the full moon will land in the house of love and relationships, placing a pretty important level, or a pretty intense level of focus on the place of love, relationships, interpersonal connections. Although, again, you could look at your first and fourth houses for any Aquarius risings because of the squares between the planets in Aquarius and Taurus. So these are just things to consider for the fixed signs. You got a very busy week ahead. As you guys know, on Mondays, I like to try and focus on at least one of the sign groups who are getting angular transits in the week. And hopefully that's useful for you in addition to any horoscopes we do throughout the week. We may include some for all 12 signs for the full moon this week, or maybe Mercury into Pisces. We'll see. But on that note, let's circle back around now to today's transit, which is Mercury square to Uranus. There's a couple things to say about this. One is that anytime Mercury and Uranus get together, they are known for two particular qualities that are really strong and obvious and very predictable. One is inventiveness when it comes to original thoughts and ideas. So that sudden comprehension of something, a breakthrough moment with respect to thinking and learning. So anything that sort of crystallizes as a moment of creative originality or inventiveness, mentally, intellectually, even communicatively, just communicating something that is original and maybe represents some kind of breakthrough in your ability to say something, or in your ability to understand something. So mental, intellectual, communicative breakthroughs. The second quality that's super predictable is problem solving. When Mercury and Uranus get together, there's often a way in which, if something has been stuck, or you've been trying to understand something and having a difficult time, or you've been trying to figure out a solution to a complex problem, Mercury-Uranus combinations are really good for coming up with inventive ideas and solutions just like that. The other thing that Mercury and Uranus can do is they can say things that are shocking. The two come together, and it's as though Mercury, the god of speech, will suddenly just say something that's a little bit provocative or rebellious or against the grain. So anything that is provocative and unexpected. Now, the other quality would be mental disruptions to thoughts, mental energy, the nervous system. It's a little bit like being plugged into an electrical outlet when Mercury and Uranus get together. So watch for being overly stimulated. Watch for accidentally, kind of like foot and mouth syndrome, saying something that's a little provocative. Maybe you don't even intend to say it, but it just kind of comes out. Mercury and Uranus can also get together when there's shocking news or information that comes to light. Mercury and Uranus can be involved in things like accidents in transportation. For example, we've seen some airline crashes and things like that. I'm not saying that planets cause these things to happen. You can usually notice that if something is going to peak in the collective with respect to a certain kind of like when trains are derailing, or there's like a string of these kinds of things, you often see Mercury and Uranus together, or in whole sign configuration. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. I just would say that the other thing that can happen, and it's usually, worst case scenarios like accidents, but disruptiveness, chaos, a little bit of the chaos magic of Mercury and Uranus can be very productive, if not initially a little disruptive or disturbing to a rhythm. So Mercury Uranus is also present when we get really excited and evangelical and sort of manic about ideas or communication. It doesn't often last as long as you think it will. So it's like getting really excited about something. 2 days later, the excitement has kind of died down. If you found something to do with that momentum, great. If not, sometimes things just don't stick with Uranus, where it's not the thing that originally came up, but the sequence of events that it set in motion that is often more important. So remember that things that happen with Uranus signatures can be flashy and bright, but look to a process that starts unfolding from this point forward, not necessarily the exact thing that comes up under the Uranus aspect, right? That's a simple thing about Uranus that a lot of people can get frustrated by, is like, oh, I'm so inspired. Well, it's like a lightning strike, it happens quickly. And, if it sets the tree on fire and creates a little burning bush that becomes a space of inspiration, it's what comes from that down the line that's usually more lasting than the initial burst, if that makes sense. So these are all just things to watch for with Mercury square to Uranus today. And then tomorrow we'll look at Sun square Uranus. Wednesday, we'll be looking at full moon in Leo. We'll be looking at Mercury into Pisces later in the week. And then I think we'll be doing a moon in profile episode with moon in Virgo. So that's kind of what we're looking at for the week ahead. I hope you're having a nice start to your week. If you have good stories to share, please remember to use the hashtag grabbed and tell us the transit, tell us your story, keep it concise, or email us grabbed@nightlightastrology.com. Anytime you have a transit story you want to share. We heard a grabbed episode recently. We did a lot of stories from the Mars Pluto transits and Mars retrograde. We'll probably do some more later this spring. So send us your stories if you got them. All right, that's it for now. Hope you guys are having a good start to your week. We'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.